Velete, thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. Africa is a poor continent, yet when we ask them to go, they don't want to leave. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are taking a deep look at a major speech given by our all-in-all General Abdurrahmane Chiani, the leader and president of Niger. Niger is a country in West Africa, and General Abdurrahmane Chiani is leading the nation during a very important time. In his speech, he talks about huge security problems in West Africa, specifically about a major military attack that happened in neighboring Mali on April 25, 2026. General Chiani makes very serious accusations against foreign countries, including France, Ivory Coast, Benin, and Mauritania, and even Ukraine. He explains how he believes these countries helped plan and carried out attacks against Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. Let's break down everything our all-in-all General Abdurrahmane Chiani says step by step, using simple terms so everyone can understand what is going on. Our all-in-all General Chiani starts by talking about the attack on Mali that took place on April 25th. He calls this a wild and cruel attack. According to him, the attackers did not come from just one place. Instead, they attacked Mali from three different directions or routes with the help of neighboring countries. The first group of fighters moved through northern Benin, Niger, and Burkina Faso. Three groups of soldiers joined together along this path to launch attacks on important areas in Mali, such as Bougouni and Savary. The second group came directly from Ivory Coast. General Chiani claims there is a forest in Ivory Coast called the Nali Forest. He says that fighters are trained inside this forest by people from Ukraine. He explains that these trainers get tourist visas to enter Ivory Coast through another country near Ukraine. Once inside Ivory Coast, they set up bases in Nali Forest to supply and train fighters. The third group came into Mali from the country of Mauritania. General Chiani says that these three groups worked together at the exact same time to launch 8 separate attacks across Mali.
Remember, not 3 weeks ago, these same terrorists you are talking about, whom we call mercenaries, had put a bounty on the head of Assimi Goïta, the heads of generals. There is Ndao and Diallo and another Lassina in Mali.
But where does their money come from?
We know it. The money comes to them through a deposit that was made in Côte d'Ivoire on the 28th to the 29th of January. It is a cargo that was transporting funds which made a forced landing in a West African country that I will not name, and it was carrying tens of billions. We know the exact amount.
When when this country on whose airport the cargo made a forced landing tried to find out what it was carrying, they said, no, there is nothing. They said, well, come with us. Since there's nothing, we are going to search the cargo. And that's when they said, no, they cannot allow them to search the cargo. They said, it's not your permission we're asking for. We are going to search the cargo. And that's when they admitted that they were transporting funds. And those funds they were transporting were destined for a country they wanted to incriminate. Well, the authorities of the country where the plane made this forced landing said, well, you will see no objection. So we called the recipient country to ask if it indeed acknowledges a funds transfer. The contacted country said, no, it is not expecting any money from the BCAO. Now, these are where they change countries to say, well, we're going to Côte d'Ivoire and Abidjan is our destination. So you have to listen. You have to inform yourself and not just stop at the surface. You have to scratch to find out what's hidden beneath that surface. And that's the tragedy. Our people like to limit themselves too much to the superficial. We see those who attack us or who attack the Confederation. It's because they are superficial. For any human being who still has a shred of dignity,
A remnant of a human.
he cannot condemn us. He cannot condemn our approach. So that the Nigerians are questioning, I am surprised, because this is the umpteenth intervention I am making. I tell myself that they have had enough elements to appreciate it, and that as they are human beings, they should use this faculty that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed in their heads to analyze events and think above all.
All right. So precisely, the attacks will repeat.
Only our determination, our will to compel the French and Europeans to change their perspective towards Africans can put an end to these attacks as other peoples have succeeded. And Asia, next to us in Algeria, do you think the Algerians lay down to wait for the mercy of the French? The Algerians fought
But I'm surprised that people think freedom is obtained by lying in bed. Freedom requires sacrifices, and sacrifices without limits. Sovereignty requires sacrifices, and sacrifices without limits. And it is these sacrifices that we are ready to make, to think as free men, to act as free men, to engage with any other civilization as free men. We are the beginning. That is what many ignore. Where Emmanuel Macron, since Europe sees what is happening and what is behind all this, it's France. But since the interests converge, and in any case, it's African peoples who will be massacred, it doesn't matter to them. For them, it's just loss and gain. But we said it's over and it's over. That's what I will tell the Nigerians, and more broadly to the people of the Confederation. The fight we are leading is a long-term fight.
The adversity we are facing will not fade away. Anytime soon, or just by an awakening of someone who lacks conscience.
We must be convinced of this so that we are no longer manipulated, because unfortunately, that's what it is. All these mercenaries they manipulate, it's pure manipulation. They make them believe they are doing jihad. But who are they going to teach jihad to? In Niger or in France?
In Niger, 99% Muslims. France, 2 to 3% Muslims. To whom should we do jihad? Son of Bilay.
Where should we do jihad? Where there are 2 or 3% Muslims, or where there are 99% Muslims? Niger has 1,400 years of Islam.
6th Caliphate.
Go to France, wear the hijab because you are Muslims. We'll see where you end up. Even in your room, if you wear the hijab, you will be arrested. In Niger, where does one not enter with the hijab?
So it's a diversion.
If there is someone who truly deserves jihad, it is not Niger, it is not Burkina, it is not Mali.
So let this jihad story stop.
Jihad, the last jihad was led by the Prophet.
A deposit was made in Cote d'Ivoire from the 28th to the 29th of January. It's a cargo that was transporting funds, which made a forced landing in a West African country that I will not hesitate to name. And it was carrying tens of billions. We know the exact amount.
When this country, Dano, on whose airport the cargo made the forced landing, tried to find out what it was carrying, they said, no, there is nothing. They said, well, you agree with us that there is nothing. We will search the cargo. And that's when they said, no, they cannot allow them to search the cargo. They said, it's not your permission we're asking for. We're going to search the cargo. And that's when they admitted that they were transporting funds. And those funds they were transporting were destined for a country they wanted to incriminate. Well, the authorities of the country where the plane made this forced landing said, well, you will see no objection. So they called the recipient country to ask if it indeed acknowledges a transport of funds. The contacted country said no, it is not expecting any money from the BCAO. Now, that's where they changed countries to say, well, we're going to Cote d'Ivoire and it's Abidjan, our destination. So you have to listen. You have to inform yourself and not just stop at the surface. You have to scratch to know what's hidden beneath that surface.
A big part of General Chiani's speech focuses on France and its President Emmanuel Macron. In the past, France had soldiers and spies inside countries like Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. And all in all, Chiani says that even though French troops were told to leave, French secret intelligence services are still working behind the scenes in neighboring countries. Here is what General Chiani claims about France. Secret bases. He says French intelligence agents are secretly stationed in neighboring countries like Benin and Ivory Coast. Drone training. He claims that in late March, French forces trained fighters to use special weaponized drones, including kamikaze drones, to attack military positions in Mali and Niger. He says French forces tricked Ivorian soldiers into believing that Burkina Faso was going to attack them. This kept the local soldiers busy while secret military operations were planned in training centers like Korodu and Bagoveli in Ivory Coast. General Chiani says that his government has proof, including meeting records, and millions of dollars used to fund these operations. He says he is ready to show this proof to anyone who calls his words a lie. Many groups fighting in West Africa claim they are fighting a religious war known as jihad. General Chiani spent a large part of his speech explaining why he believes this claim is completely false and just a trick to confuse people. He uses numbers to make his point very clear. Niger is 99% Muslim. Islam has been practiced in Niger for over 1,400 years. France has only about 2 to 3% Muslim population. General Chiani asks a simple question. How can fighters claim they are doing a holy work by attacking a country that is almost 100% Muslim, like Niger or Mali, while being supported by countries like France? He points out that in France, women are not allowed to wear religious clothing, like the hijab in public schools or official spaces without facing legal trouble. In contrast, people in Niger have full freedom to practice their religion. Therefore, he argues that these fighters are not fighting for religion at all. Instead, they are paid mercenaries who are being tricked and manipulated by foreign powers for money and political control. Towards the end of his speech, General Chiani speaks directly to the citizens of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. These three nations have formed a close alliance called the Confederation of Sahel States. His main point to the people are a long fight. The struggle for full control and safety in their countries will take a long time. Standing strong. The people must stay awake, smart, and careful. They must not let outside nations turn them against each other. Foreign interests. Outside powers do not care about Africans' life. To foreign leaders, the conflict is about money, resources, and power. The nations of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso must stay united to defend their land and protect their people. To sum it up, General Abdurrahmane Chiani's speech is a strong warning to his nation and neighboring countries. He claims that the recent violence in West Africa is not an accident or just a local rebel problem. Instead, he argues it is a planned effort by foreign nations, specifically France, using nearby countries like Ivory Coast, Benin, and Mauritania, and outside trainers from Ukraine to weaken the region. He calls on all Africans to see through these tricks, stay united, and keep working toward true independence for their land. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world in Africa, West Africa, and in Niger.